How's everybody doing tonight? We've got a really big program today, so I'll keep my speech short. Just want to talk a little bit about community involvement, and it's good to see all the people here today. A little bit more this time than last time, which is exactly what we're looking for. So, hit us up on Twitter. We got our YouTube posted with the meeting. So as soon as this meeting's over, it'll be uploaded to YouTube. Tell your friends or neighbors. And just the more you guys show up, the more information you give me, the tickets you put in to get it done, working with our officer, I'll be able to take that information to get stuff done quicker. So, the more involvement you have, the more involvement I'll have, the better place we'll have Serra Mesa. So let's start off with Officer Salvatore Laurel Torres.
Perfectly pronounced.
It's a tough one. Not the top of my name, but close.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. It's great to be back. See you guys, see some familiar faces here and there. So it's always great to be back. Like I know you guys have a lot going on, so I'm gonna try to keep mine as simple as possible. I kind of haven't seen quite a few of you guys for a little bit. I'm just gonna go back a couple of months. Kind of a lot's happened in this area, but not as much as you guys think it is. So I'm just gonna kind of go over the big ticket items that I want you guys to be aware of that's going on in your neighborhood. So just to give you a call, I went back from the beginning of, what month is this? May, so April 1st. All right, so we had 1,277 radio calls in Serra Mesa community. That's a lot of radio calls for a small community as you guys. So that's just to give you that. So I'm just gonna break it down just real quick. I'm not gonna go into full details on all of them, but our biggest one that you guys should know about is out of that, there's 20 stolen vehicles reported in Serra Mesa just since the beginning of April 1st. That's stolen. That is quite a bit. It's actually a little bit higher uptick than I think I had from the last meeting we had that I gave you guys. So I don't know why. I couldn't tell you what the trend was. I know for a while, if you had like a Hyundai Sonata, Hyundai Elantra, those were getting stolen like hotcakes because a TikTok trend that came out and it showed how to steal a Hyundai Sonata, Elantra, and a Kia Sorento, I believe it was. One of the Kia models. It was a hack on TikTok and it showed them how to steal them. And oh my God, it's been game on for poor Kia owners and Hyundai owners. I think Hyundai finally came out with a little resolution or some fix-it manner in the last couple of months, but wow, it used to be always Hondas, Kias and Hyundais. So I got to sell my Hyundai before it gets stolen. So out of those 20 stolen cars, we also had 14 additional cars that got broken into in Serra Mesa. Now those are just reported. Sometimes there's some cars that get broken into, and for a reason, maybe there was no damage and they just got ransacked a little bit. People are not reporting that in. I mean, and I get it might be frustrating, like, well, nothing's really missing, but for us, it's important that we annotate where these crimes are occurring so we can figure out, that's how we start shoving more patrol into certain areas. If we got that little hot, each radio call creates a little hot map. Basically, it's like, okay, we all of a sudden have a huge uptake on Gramercy, on cars getting broken into or cars stolen out of. So, so far, especially our evening officers, they'll prioritize where they start kind of patrolling a little bit more, because that's what we're hoping, right? We want to be a deterrence. And unfortunately, if people aren't reporting the radio calls, we're not gonna know about it, and it does affect how our officers patrol certain areas. We had 25 accidents in Serra Mesa. Maybe you guys don't even realize that there was, but those ones that actually were reported to us, and Serra Mesa, it's not just, I shouldn't say just Serra Mesa. You guys fall under B311, so you got parts of Friars. Friars there's always something going on in Friars, and a little bit of Kearney Villa. So you guys fall under that little terrain. So some of those numbers are skewed a little bit for you guys, not necessarily in Little Serra Mesa, but throughout the whole community. We had 18 impounds. Our POE guys, for some reason, I guess part of it was people were complaining more about trailers being left on, unattended trailers. And I noticed I've driven around, I still see a lot of trailers that are still being left unattended, and they should be actually addressed. by our parking enforcement folks. I think should say. Just kidding. We had 11 hit and runs. So that doesn't even include the 25 actual accidents. So 11 hit, I don't know what it is about traffic all of a sudden in this area. That's just, it's not good. We had quite a few robberies, but it's all towards Walmart. Walmart gets hit quite a bit on Murphy, right here off of Murphy. We had the only uptick that the biggest one I think I saw was we had a huge increase in what we call 415 violent calls. That's basically an argument that's escalated into fighting. We're not sure what's bringing that number. You know, we get a lot of these. We get a lot of argument calls left and right. And it's, you know, but all of a sudden, I don't know, in the last 2 months, we've seen a huge increase in, I guess, people aren't talking it out like they used to. Okay, so it's gone up and it's, I'm pretty amazed. One of the other big ones that it's a little difficult to talk to. I think there's about almost 100% increase in domestic violence calls for us since in the last 2 months. I can't go into details obviously of those because it's a personal matter. And once again, it's just one of those, all of a sudden 415 violent calls are up and our domestic violence calls are up, and we're not really sure why that is. You know, that's the part of the analytical part that we don't collect. I'm sure someone does, but unfortunately, I don't get those kind of numbers. We had also several 459 alarms, which is your burglary alarms throughout the homes. Just know if burglary alarm goes off in your home, it's a false alarm. You're subject to getting a little fine from the city for us showing up, and it's a false alarm. So if it happens once, they usually give you guys not a big deal, it just happens. But in some of these cases, I looked at some of these addresses, and we had about 3 or 4 of the same exact address that's going off. I guarantee you those homes, they're gonna get sent a little bill from the city. And trust me, the city's gonna get tears on that part because, you know, obviously officers are having to respond call over and over to a call at a house that's not an actual emergency for us. So just mind that's gonna be happening. Other than that, that's pretty much it on that end. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
Parking enforcement still isn't doing anything about the people who are using the sidewalk to park the personal vehicle after business hours.
And where's this at? Is there a certain neighborhood in particular?
Serra Mesa.
Just all throughout?
Personal vehicles parked on the public sidewalk after regular business hours. It's real common.
Part of the problem might be is, like, what time are you referring to, sir? Because
After 6, 7.
that's probably why. It's only because they don't work at those times. No, I don't make their hours. You know what I mean? I don't. When I get a lot of traffic complaints, I usually will forward it to them so they can try to address it. The other ones I'll try to get a hold of our traffic division because they do have night officers that work during the nights. And I'll try to forward that to them and see what they say. And as a matter of,
I see parking enforcement going after the station, like 6 o'clock at night, they could just go to the neighborhood and write tickets too.
I'll bring it up to the supervisor. Yeah, like I said, I can only forward what I can to them, but I'll talk to the supervisor, and we'll see what we can
It
do.
takes one round and people get the message out. Stop it.
Anything else? Yes.
So with all these calls that you guys are getting, 911 response times, what are we at about right now?
Okay, so the calls that I was telling you about, like a 415, which is just your simple argument. For us right now, response time, which I think we are the worst division around Eastern Division, is a little over 2 hours for a simple just argument.
Minutes?
2 hours.
2 hours.
Right, 2 hours, and it gets a lot of people frustrated for that reason. And you know, and that's the only problem with it's a 415. It's categorized in the category 2. Our biggest, obviously, our number 1 is the E, which is the emergency, which something just happened, a vehicle accident happened, and we don't know is something that, is any bodily injuries or death, or anything like that, so those aren't key for us. Then it goes to priority one, or sorry, priority zeros, which falls pretty much right in line with a priority E or what we call a hot call. Those right away, we drop whatever we're doing and we have to go, no matter what. Then you get your priority ones, a 415 violent, like people are actually fighting as it's happening, it still falls in priority one. If we have officers available, they'll go to those for sure. But if they're responding to vehicle accidents, some kind of hot call or higher emergency, even that call where somebody possibly could get hurt, is still gonna take a back burner only because we have officers going to other calls. Now, we will try to get help from our neighboring divisions. For our case here, we have Western and Northern Division that are close to us, sometimes even mid-city, but they're more in the college area to help out our other side. So if they have officers available, they'll respond. We're supposed to be, I think, staffed about 12 officers for each division. We had 8 that came out tonight. And this is one of the busiest times for us, is second watch. And this unfortunately, it's just where we're at. I was just talking to one of the gentlemen here about basically just, we just want to come in, that's the only problem. But, we're hoping to rectify that. Hopefully, we're coming in, but we also have a lot of retirees leaving too, so it's like we get some coming in, we get some coming out, so we're hoping to still rectify that. I know they're really trying to recruiting in to try to get more officers in, and I hope that the pendulum for us swings back to our favor. Anything else? Yes.
Maybe the last time we were here, January or March, maybe.
Yeah.
Someone had asked about that bill, the one that tied your hand, we can't arrest someone unless they still.
Prop 47.
Prop 47?
Right, we still haven't heard back from that. I know we're planning. I shouldn't say they were planning, but I think they were trying to get it to come to a vote where they could maybe repeal some parts of it. Which is, so I think some of it was the price. The price for what's arrestable, like felonies. I know some of it was for us, $950 and above is a felony that's arrestable. And $949 below is it's basically a misdemeanor. And second with a citation and a promise to appear in court.
Well, there was something that said it might be on the ballot in November that we could vote against it. Did you hear anything about that?
That I don't know. I know it's like part of the rumor mill. I don't have that information on you, unfortunately. But for us, obviously, as officers, that's what I'm hoping, but we'll see. But yes.
We mentioned at top of your speech about number by trailers on the streets of Serra Mesa. I tell you that I mentioned that last meeting, and all of those trailers are gone. They're now all on their private property. Where thank you.
Well, I finally just went out there, I started tagging them. I just, as soon as I had time, I started trying to tag all the trailers that, and I remember you mentioned it, and it almost like, and I don't think I made it out there until like a month afterwards, but I finally did get out there, so. I'm happy I noticed that, so, okay, good to go.
Just one last thing.
Yeah.
So on your business card,
Yeah.
contact information. Like, will you reach out to like an email or?
I do have an email. I'm on a budget, so I only have one card right now, unfortunately.
I have questions about concealed carry. The federal laws are all different, they're all over.
Every state is a little bit different.
What, how to take that off?
Yeah, we'll just send me an email, and I'll give you a call, we'll talk about it offline.
We have one card less.
On the budget.
Shorter than that. Right.
I get one out of there.
So if you could leave match one, fix your problem with the 2-hour response times, things like that, what would you do?
But the problem on the response time is just the lack of officers we have. Yeah, we're just short. And I know it swings every so many years, and unfortunately, we're just at the bad downswing where we have a lot of retirees coming in, going on in the last couple of years. I know the next years, we are really gonna lose quite a few, and we just don't have the influx of new officers coming in. And like I said, it's just one of those things, we got to try to write it out as best we can, and hopefully we can get new officers in. I know our recruiting is, I know they're working hard, and I almost kind of feel bad because they're really hustling, trying to get new blood in, but it's, you know, it's just difficult, and obviously some of the time we're in right now, being a police officer isn't as popular as it used to be, so. That's the other side, so like I said, I think things are starting to improve and get back in our favor, we're seeing more in a positive light than we were just a few years ago. So that's what I'm hoping for anyway, so we'll see though, and time will tell. Anything else, folks? Okay, great, not bad, under like about 15 minutes tops, not too bad. Other than that, great seeing you guys, I guess I'll see you guys on the next one.
September 24th.
September
I'll
24th.
send you a reminder.
Perfect.
Last Tuesday, so.
All right, but hey, you guys all have a good one.
Right, that was really good, and that's goes back to where we were talking about community participation. Somebody said something at the last meeting, officer was here, took action, that's what we need, exactly what we need. The next speaker, is John Hartley, he couldn't come today, he was sick, but we do have a presentation on like clean elections. So if you guys don't mind, watching.
I know, over my 40 years as a juror, I've heard all the story of money and politics. All that time. Never imagined things would get as bad as they are today. The cost of money for public offices is skyrocketing. Candidates come together in summer. People box up, figure out how to take advantage of the opportunity to game the system in their favor. About being called high implementers, and our public officials are doing the video mistake. Money is choking democracy to death. Trying access to influence wealthy campaign contributors and corporate lobbyists who get right legislation to demand payback for a political favor contract and elbow out these conservative regular people. So powerful, well, shape our political agenda. Cannot say America is worth for all. How big the corruption no longer enough? We have to change the system, and we can.
What you're talking about. Their concerns about the corruption of a non-known standard of process. Both sides, and first. Over the years,
We've gotten more calls to our office, not just from citizens, across the country, but also from Capitol Hill, even our lawmakers. And when we state Senate and House. Connecticut, Maine, New Jersey, Mexico, North Carolina, and Vermont have enacted new campaign finance reform that encourages more very different kinds of people to run for office. They instituted the election system to control public finance that is actually changing political landscapes and such, and alter electoral courts and commission. The election is a new and substantially different government to eliminate the influence of big money over election.
This will affect, to the good, public policy and the kinds of laws that are passed across our country.
I think the clean elections in Maine is a very positive thing, and I think it helps more people that would like to run and that can't run.
Before, the House used to be full of influential white males. Now, thanks to clean elections, you have males and females of different backgrounds, of different cultures. Now the House is becoming more diversified.
It gives you hope in a sense, and that's, to me, is the most incredible thing, is that we have hope. I mean, it's not in every state, and we're trying to get it in every state, but when you see how it works, it's truly hopeful for greater things.
Clean elections played a large part in being able to pass the prescription drug bill that we have in the state. You know, the pharmaceutical companies are huge, and they spend inordinate amounts of money, and we were able to put through a very revolutionary piece of legislation, and I think that helped.
Under the clean election system, candidates who collected a set number of small contributions in their districts, who agreed to voluntary spending limits, who agreed not to accept campaign contributions from any private source, and not to spend money out of their own pockets, these candidates receive full public funding for their primary and general election campaign. A clean election system means candidates don't have to be wealthy to run for election.
now that we have the clean elections in the state of Maine, it frees up people to run for office who wouldn't, I really think that wouldn't have dared to do it before because of the challenge of raising money.
If I had to run conventionally, I probably wouldn't. This is not a very rich area that I work in. There's a lot of poverty around, people living on tight budgets or fixed incomes. I just couldn't go up to them and say, can you give me a couple $100 to run my campaign?
Public financing levels the playing field and gives people from many different backgrounds a fair shot at getting elected. Public financing of elections involves more people in our democracy.
It allows folks in your district to be actively involved in your campaign by donating $5 contributions to your campaign.
The same amount of money that I spend on a cup of coffee at Starbucks, I can support a clean elections candidate. And that means that I'm involved in the process.
Clean elections allows candidates to spend time with voters and constituents.
I got to spend time with voters as opposed to spending time, dialing for dollars or trying to sell tickets to $250 a plate fundraisers. This was much better.
And politicians say running as a clean elections candidate gives them an electoral advantage.
A person who runs on clean elections, they're letting me know that, I'm not owned by any corporations, I'm not owned by any PACs, I'm not owned by, people who have a lot of money and a lot of influence. I'm running for the citizens.
The clean election system reduces the impact of lobbyists and special interests. And once people are elected under the clean election system, they are accountable only to voters. What a difference this new system has made where it's been put in place. More people are running for office.
Here in Arizona, we have seen an increase in competition with the introduction of campaign finance reform through clean elections. More people are running for office. We're seeing seats that are challenged that haven't been challenged in years.
More women and more minorities are running.
It brings about inclusiveness. It also brings about a good amount of competitiveness, and it opens it up in diversity as well.
Because of clean elections, voters have more choices, and they're choosing clean elections candidates.
To win clean elections in Washington, D.C., we're going to need an outpouring of citizen activism at the grassroots level like we've never seen before.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if all of the states would adopt our clean elections law? We would change Washington, D.C.
The clean election system of public financing is changing campaigning, helping to put an end to business as usual, rotten business as usual. If anybody's going to own our politicians, it should be we the people. Clean elections is the way to do it. Remember, there are no victimless crimes in politics. The cost of corruption gets passed on to you. Big donors get what they want from politics and government, and you wind up paying the bill. In the words of Louis Brandeis, one of the greatest of our Supreme Court justices, you can have wealth concentrated in the hands of a few or democracy, but you cannot have both. Your support for clean elections is how we'll save democracy.
I wish John was here to speak to it because I'm sure folks have questions. If you guys picked up an agenda or scanned QR code, there is a link on there and you can ask questions and learn more about the clean elections. We'll do our best to reach out to see if he wants to come to another meeting, but fortunately we just have the video for today.
Joe, they can also go to Clean Elections San Diego.
Yeah,
Google
yeah. So that was the national video, I guess, but in each city and state, it's cleanelectionsandiego.org, I think, right? That's on the. Okay, so we've got a bunch of representatives here, but we also have Congresswoman Sara Jacobs, 51st District, correct?
51, yeah.
Pull it up.
All right.
Yep.
Hi, you guys. It's so nice to be here tonight. I'm super happy that you're meeting the week when I get to be home, stuck in Washington, D.C. So I just wanted to come and give you a little update on what we're working on in DC and then take your questions. I know you guys get to see Michaela at every meeting, and of course, she can always answer any of your questions for you as well. But as you probably know, only 6 months late, we finished up the FY24 appropriations process in the budget. So we passed it for the rest of the year, or yeah, till September. I was able to get some really exciting funding for us here in San Diego, $2 million for homelessness, a lot of funding around childcare. And we're now working on the FY25 appropriations process, which we've submitted our requests for our community funding projects. And again, they'll focus on housing and homelessness, childcare, childhood poverty, equity issues. And this year, we're also going to have a big focus on addressing the flood damage that happened in January. So we're hoping to get a lot of extra federal dollars here to address that. The House Armed Services Committee, which I'm a member of, we just finished marking up the National Defense Authorization Act. It's an all-night process. And there's some really exciting wins that I was able to get in there for us in San Diego. So this year we had a bipartisan military quality of life panel as part of the Armed Services Committee that I was a part of. And through that, we were able to get the biggest pay for enlisted service members into the National Defense Authorization Act ever. For a long time, the way we did pay raises in the military was a percentage, which meant if you were making more, you got more of a pay raise. So officer and enlisted pay kind of diverge. So this is a bump up to try and get them back on the right trajectory. We were able to get a lot of things in around military housing, fundamentally change the way they do compensation for military childcare and eliminate the wait list for the assistance for childcare so that our military families aren't having these really long wait lists. Here in San Diego recently, we had a 4,000 person wait list just for the military childcare. Obviously, if they can't have childcare for their kids, they're not doing the job we need them to do to protect our country. And so, this is both important for the families and the kids, but also really important for our national security. And that's been a big priority of mine. And we were able to also get some things around protections for autonomous decision-making around nuclear weapons, which I think will be very important. And then I was also able to get included in the NDA that the TRICARE will cover IVF treatment, which prior hadn't, which is a big expansion and something I think is really important for our service members in their prime and productive years. We're asking them to do very difficult, dangerous things that can have an impact on fertility and reproduction. So that was the National Defense Authorization Act. We passed it through the committee. It'll now go to the House floor. The Senate will do their version. We'll then reconcile, and then we'll all vote on the final package. I'm hoping we'll be able to do that before we go on August recess. So the next couple of months, and we're going to fight hard to make sure all the things we're able to get in the House version stay in the final version. That is sort of the big things we have left. We're also working on the Farm Bill, which will be, if we're able to get it done, very big. As you all know, it's not only about agriculture, it's also where a lot of the hunger programs live. So How Fresh is through the Farm Bill, for instance. So we're working to make sure we're getting what San Diego needs of hunger programs to the Farm Bill. That's an ongoing conversation. And we're working on a couple of other things we'll be rolling out soon that I'm excited about around new technologies and artificial intelligence, housing and homelessness. I'm working with Senators Manchin and Murkowski to create a whole of government strategy to address child and family homelessness, because right now they're not in the prioritization that HUD does. They tend to fall to the bottom. And so we're working so that HHS, which is the agency that does a lot of the other programming that helps children and families, actually takes the lead in the interagency on child and family homelessness. And we have this whole of government approach so that we can help families who are experiencing homelessness. Often for families with young kids, they experience homelessness for less than 3 months at a time. It's usually a job loss, an increase in rent. And if we can try and prevent that or get them back into housing quickly, it's better for everyone. So that's some of the stuff we're working on, and looking forward to taking your questions. And thanks again for having me. Yes.
I just wanted to say that you reference to the federal and state tax deadlines to June. That helped a lot of people whose records were flooded and there's no way they could have done the taxes in April, that really helped a lot of people.
Yeah, oh, good, I'm glad. And you reminded me, I wanted to tell you guys also, based on a lot of the feedback we got from folks after the January flooding, I actually introduced legislation to modernize the way FEMA does some of the emergency response, because I know a lot of it was more difficult to get than it should have been. So we're working on some of that FEMA stuff as well. Questions? Yes.
Is there any movement on the water issue with the wastewater for Mexico?
So on sort of like the Tijuana River Valley, the sewage coming, we were actually able to get, so probably you all know, the USMCA included $300 million for us to address this issue. Because of some bureaucratic issues, the money hadn't been expended. So Congressman Vargas and I were able to get a fifth in 2 years ago that enabled that $300 million to actually be spent. If you want to know the nitty-gritty details, it's because the money went to the EPA, but who controls the is the International Water and Boundary Commission, which is an international agency, so only the State Department can give them money. So we had to transfer from the EPA to the State Department to get it to the IUWC. Anyways, we did it. And that money is now being spent, and we were able to get an additional $150 million in last year's appropriation to address it as well. And we're working to continue getting more funding. I will say I've had many conversations with the Mexican side on this issue, and they are also putting more money towards it than they historically have. And they're working on fixing Punta Bandera, which is their the wastewater treatment center on their side of the border, which had been broken. And so that should be done by the end of this year, they tell me. And so hopefully that will also help the issue a lot. Yeah, but we're working on it. I know it's been a long, slow process, but I've only been here since 2020, so I will take responsibility for the last 3.5 years.
Just want to say condolences on the loss of your grandmother. Such a wonderful, wonderful person. And we appreciate your family's philanthropy in San Diego. Some of the things they put their money toward really benefit the entire county. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. That means a lot.
Joan, is that your grandmother?
Joan is my grandmother. Yes. Yeah. So we'll miss her a lot. She was 91. She lived a very good and full life, and obviously had a huge impact. But I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. They're also here in San Diego. Thank you. Any other questions?
Do you got the answer on your question you answered earlier about Title 22, I think, with the bill that I guess lowers or raises the amount of theft for.
Not for the Senate, right, or the stuff.
Yeah, it can go.
Oh.
So yeah, you'll have to ask for it. I think.
For support.
I have to say, I have enough on my plate with the federal bill, but I don't know where all the take ones are. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
The first I need to ask you this question, Kathy, we have it. So, it has to do with, a crosswalk at Taft. And at one point there was funding. I don't know why we used to get federal funding, but I guess there was federal funding and then it got dropped. Do you know anything about that? If it's possible to reinstitute that federal funds?
I don't know anything about that, but Michaela will look into it. We have passed a lot of federal funding for infrastructure, and that's coming down. It usually comes through the state. And then it's the city who ends up being the one who actually decides exactly where it goes. But this particular thing we'll look into and make sure there's nothing we can do on our end to try and push it.
Yeah, maybe Miles.
I just have some questions about the connection with that. We seem to be spending way more than we're making. National debt goes up astronomically every year. And I just wonder, what is the house? What are our elected officials doing? It seems like
it just keeps spending more.
Yeah. Look, you're not the only person who's asking me this question about the national debt. I'm one of the youngest members of Congress, so I know it's gonna be my generation and future generations who have to deal with the consequences of this. So it's something I think about. We did have some conversations in this around the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which is when the bipartisan agreement to lift the debt ceiling and also enact spending levels for the last year and this year. The way I think about it is, you know, when we look at what has historically contributed to the national debt, the biggest increases have been around the war in Iraq and the 2017 tax bill. The war in Iraq is wound down. The 2017 tax bill, a lot of those provisions expire next year. And so we're having conversations now about which ones make sense to keep and which don't, especially because they contributed so much to the national debt. The way I kind of think about it is, you know, if I don't know how many of you are business owners, but when I talk to business owners, what they'll tell me, right, is they'll take on debt as long as it's to make an investment that will build the company in the long term. And I think that's how we need to be thinking about it, right? Like, we shouldn't be taking on debt for things that aren't going to grow our economy, but we should be making the investments we need to make to be able to grow our economy. And so that's why I focus so much on early childhood, actually, because lots of studies have shown that it's the best return on federal investment we can make. So for instance, every $1 we invest in high quality early childhood programs, we actually end up saving $6 down the road for a variety of reasons. One, you have higher labor force participation, so you get higher, you get more tax revenue from that. Two, you save money on issues that could happen in the lifespan of a child that won't happen if they get quality early childhood education, things like that. It's also why I've been trying to get us a little more focused on preventative medicine. If we can, every dollar we invest in getting people primary care medicine, we save $12 because things are more expensive once they're further down the road. So that's how I think about it. It's not that we should cut all of our spending, but that we should be really thinking carefully about how we're investing and really think about it as an investment and what will grow our economy.
Is there any consideration for a balanced budget, the kind of thing where we don't spend any more than we take in? And we all have to live on a budget.
Yeah.
Every day, and yet our federal government doesn't seem to think in those terms.
Yeah, I mean, it's the federal budget is not quite like a personal household budget because we control the monetary supply. And so, most economists will say it makes sense for the US government in particular, because we are the reserve currency, to actually have some debt because it enables us to make some of these investments. So, I personally wouldn't support some sort of like blanket, it must be balanced every year, no matter what, because I think we do need that leeway, like a business owner would have, right? That you do take on debt to make investments. But there are conversations looking at, these upcoming tax expirations. President Biden has sent us a budget that if he enacted it exactly, which he won't, he's divided government right now, so it's a debate, but if we would, it would bring down the deficit by quite a lot. And so we are having these conversations in an ongoing way. Yeah, absolutely. You're in the back.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and update which is presented. So I know you're a member of the subcommittee for the Torres.
Yes.
So my question is about the foreign policy. Does the Congress push towards the administration of Biden to gain the toughest policy against Iran for getting nuclear weapons? So I just need updated, if you have updated regarding that.
Yeah, so I don't sit on the Middle East committee, subcommittee on the foreign affairs, but I am on the foreign affairs committee. I'm the ranking Democrat on the African subcommittee. But yes, there's a lot of conversations about what to be doing about Iran. There have been a number of bills around, and I personally have had a number of conversations with the administration about what we should be doing about the Iranian-aligned militia groups in Iraq and Syria that, we've had some casualty incidences from, how we're responding to the Houthis, and what they're doing to international shipping. So yeah, this is the conversation. Yeah, absolutely.
I guess my comment had to do with what you said as a business owner. I'm a native San Diegan. I've lived here my entire life. And I've seen the homeless issue grow exponentially year after year. So throwing money at is not a solution. It hasn't worked in the last 5 years. It's not going to work in the next 5 years. Education for the youth is a solution. If you look at foster youth in our county, you will see that 50% of them will end up in jail or homeless after being released from the foster program. So if you put those $2 million that you want to throw at a homeless situation, that's not going to work because it hasn't. You have a better bang for your buck because educating people into welding, electrician, plumbing, some of the careers that you can help young people build a life with, you're gonna see some return for your money. So I would say, with all due respect, Congressman Jacobs, look into our foster youth. They need our help. Homeless people, although I have a heart and I do feel sorry, a lot of them is based on decisions. It's a lot of it is self-made decisions that, whether it was drug abuse, alcoholism, or X, Y, and Z, we're not gonna change a person's lifestyle where they're down the road. They have to really rebuild themselves. Throwing millions of dollars hasn't helped San Diego, San Francisco, or Los Angeles. It's only gotten worse. So I guess that's my opinion on that.
Appreciate that.
I guess I have a question from the federal level.
Yeah.
How are you guys tackling the fentanyl crisis in America?
Yeah. So, you know, fentanyl is a huge issue. We obviously are very close to the border. I go talk to our folks at CET and Border Patrol at least once a quarter, often more. My district director is down there even more. You know, one of the things that is particularly difficult about this challenge is that when you actually talk to Border Patrol and CBP, what they'll tell you is that 99% of the fentanyl or precursors that are coming over the border are coming by US citizens. So it isn't actually, it's a distinct problem from what we see as, you know, the asylum and immigration set of issues. And so it makes it a little bit more challenging, right? Because the US citizens have certain rights and they don't go necessarily through all the same procedures. But we're working on trying to identify the precursors and make sure that we understand where they're coming from and trying to cut off those precursors. So for instance, I was at the Port of Long Beach where they had just stopped a huge shipment of the machines to make pills that were illicitly being brought into the United States so that when the precursor chemicals were brought in, they could then be turned into tablets. So really looking at that, the president has had a lot of conversations directly with the Chinese government about their, you know, support of the precursor chemicals coming in, and we'll continue to be hard on the Chinese government about that. And looking at other various ways to try and make sure both that we're stopping those precursors and also that we're having treatment options so that people are able to get care and don't get caught in that trap of substance use.
That kind of leads to this crisis a little bit too. It seems like the fentanyl crisis.
Yeah, what's interesting is there was actually a really big study done of the homeless community in San Diego, and actually less than 20% of the people who experience homelessness in San Diego are what would be deemed chronically homeless, or kind of the people we see on the street. 80% of the people experiencing homelessness are homeless for less than 3 months at a time. It's usually because of a job loss or an increase in rent or like a medical bill, something like this. And so I do think there's actually, you know, I think sometimes obviously we see the chronically homeless because they're who we walk by every day. I try and make sure that I'm really focusing on kind of that hidden 80% that we don't see as often, but that, you know, is actually much more cost effective because often they just need a little bit of help to get back on Other questions, comments? All right, well, thank you all so much for having me. Again, hopefully you all have Michaela's contact information. If not, she lives
Lots of cards.
and she's got more than one card. We are also on a budget, but apparently it's like a bigger one than the police department. And please don't hesitate to reach out. You know, we would love to be able to help you if you're ever having any issues with a federal agency, VA, Social Security, anything like that, Small Business Administration. And we also just like hearing what's on your mind, hearing your ideas. We read everything that comes in. So thank you, and please keep in touch. I'm coming back in.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you have anything to add, Taylor?
No, I think the boss covered it.
Got it. Just checking. Okay, next up, Miles. Do you have any updates from Raul's office?
Yeah. Everyone, it's Miles Noel from Councilman Campillo's office. Not too much, but a few things to update from our office. So right now, council a few weeks ago got the budget back from the mayor's office revision. So right now they're going through the additions here from the community, what they want implemented. So please feel free to reach out to me, and I just ran out of cards, but I also have one more, but I have plenty
All this
more.
information is on the.
Yeah, I did see, yes, my information is on the agenda, so please reach out to me with anything you want to see be seen funded on the budget. As you can see, Arrow Drive and I believe Gramercy received the same treatment. It's called a scrub and seal treatment. It's a bit different than what we're used to, but it's a lot more cost effective, especially when it gets hot. The pavement expands and shrinks and it causes those cracks. So transportation is using a new form, but we're trying to get some more feedback from the community because we see a lot of times either just new methods being messed up by the contractor because they're still getting used to the process, or something just takes place on the street, weather happens. So we're having contractors go back out, fix the roads. So please let me know if anything like that happens in your communities. But lastly is get it done assistance. So get it done, a lot of people need help getting it done on that website because there's a huge backlog of requests that come through there. So one really good way of getting those done is by sending them to me. I can expedite the process on that, whether it be transportation, permitting, development services, planning department, anything that has a city department on it, and I can get that expedited for you. But that's it for me. But any questions, and I'll be happy to answer.
When are they gonna stripe the streets?
Yeah, see, that's a good question. I've been told that's usually between 3 and 4 weeks. But I've seen they've been lagging on it a little bit. Which street are you thinking about in particular, Arrow? Yeah.
Paved or Sprucefield, Sandrock after both of those, and it's already striped.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend like it makes sense, but it's a very convoluted and weird process. I can reach out and ask when it's gonna get done. Yeah. Anyone else?
Question, comment. One, I appreciate the paving of the roads for sure. How come they have to do it during the day?
During the day?
Yeah, like these roads out here.
I think that's just because of the hours they're assigned within the permitting periods. I know they don't do them. I know there's been some issues with some of the business, the construction down the road on Arrow, but I know they try not to do these because during like the hours of like 3:30 and like 5:30 because of traffic. I could get some more information on why they don't try to do more later in the day, after traffic hours, but I think it's just because of work hours.
Was the question about why do they do road work during the day, like slurry? I missed the question.
Oh.
This is the representative from the mayor's office.
Oh.
I just want to help if I can while we have the question. I just missed what part of the work.
Go ahead, Coral.
Oh no, I just don't know. Is the issue about the work for road repair happening during the day or undergrounding work happening at night?
Joe, she was asking what
Oh,
the
yes.
question was.
My question was, I was just curious why it was done during the day, just because they cause a bunch of traffic and stuff like that.
Oh,
That's
got you. Okay, yeah. So road work happens during the day because there's a temperature requirement for the material that they use. And that's why you see a decrease in road work happening during our rainy season. In the cooler months, it's not hot enough for the material to cure properly, which defeats the purpose. So that's why it happens during the day. But if you're seeing an increase of, I guess, either congestion, or you want to question or more like insight about why is this road closed, like lane changes. I know me and Miles have been working with some roads in a different community. So feel free, if you think it's an issue, bring it to me or Miles, and we can look into it for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we would want to delay the process of the roads getting done while by waiting for the temperatures, because they're usually this time of year. So I totally get it's a good answer. Thanks.
Hi, Miles.
Thank you.
Yeah, at our last meeting, we talked about the pavement in front of Taft School at junior high. We were gonna have somebody from the city come out to take a look at what, Raul promised that we were gonna have a joint meeting with the city to review the situation because of the traffic problems and safety issues and all the things going on out there. Is there some kind of an update on that?
Oh, that took place. I believe Cindy was there. Cindy was there, Everett was there. Vic, unfortunately, I was not in town, so Vic was there on my behalf. Kind of thing. I know I let Officer Salvatore, Torres also know about it, but I think he was also sick that day, so he couldn't make it. But everyone involved is aware the school was also there. The principal actually, as far as I have heard, is that they're actually excited about the bike lanes going in because their kids, a lot of them, back to school. So it creates that infrastructure to allow for at least a safer condition for them to get to and from school. I know one of the things regarding that is also the need for a crosswalk, especially in the middle of Gramercy. That's something that I know transportation has asked for at least half of the funding within this new budget cycle. So that's something that we're looking forward to, but also working with other jurisdictions like the school district, the federal level, the state level, on getting funding in coordination with them, because a lot of the grants can come after we get some initial funding. So it's something that we're looking into getting it done.
Has there been a final resolution? The bike lanes are gonna still stay?
Yes.
It's gonna be reduced to 2 lanes?
Yes, sir, yeah.
Just as an FYI, I communicated with Miles about how the city measures the bike lane usage. And at that time, I was just thinking about, Mission Village Drive, the part that's finished. And he was gonna reach out to city staff to see how they do that, how they measure if the bike lanes are being used, how often, etc. So I just wanted people to know that Miles is on.
She sent me that. I reached out to staff. I hadn't heard anything back yet, but it's just one of those things that can sometimes fall through the cracks with staff. So I really thank you for reminding me about that, because I've reached out to them again. And I said reminder, so I will have that information for you either by next meeting. So.
And I don't know, Miles, if this is, I was reviewing the email. The last meeting, there was someone here from Qualcomm and whatever. Mission Vale and us. And we all commented, many of us commented how there was no parking for the trolley, like there had been for years. And at the when the meeting ended, it kind of was like I think the woman, well, it's up to MTS, it seemed weird. But in our email about the meeting, it says subsequently, clarification was made by the SDSU representative. The public parking for the trolley will be available at San Diego State Mission Valley. Does anybody know how that was communicated or when it will happen or?
You know what, I'm still got a question I'm the one that put that in because she told me that there would be. And she sent us a map, and that map I could put on, with the parking map, we could put it on the website if you want. But it doesn't show any trolley parking. So I do have an email into her. I will email her again and say, where's the trolley parking? Because they are supposed to have trolley parking, because I have the documentation from the EIR that said they would have trolley parking. So if I sound irritated, I'm irritated.
I'm irritated too.
Yeah, I'll follow up. Thank you for reminding me.
I was in a meeting with MTS the other day, and they actually said that that is not a transportation stop, it is just a stop for the use of the stadium campus facility. Thus, they didn't plan on having any parking at it. It should have no other parking, you have paid parking if you'd like to utilize it, but that it's not a true transportation stop.
Oh my gosh.
Again, if you have 10 people, you get 10 different stories, so I figured, yeah, one more.
That sounds nice.
It's definitely very up.
They want us to use public transit, but they're not making it easy. There's not even a bus that goes there.
And private parking should be open all the time, not just.
No one wants to ride up and down that hill.
And it's, don't put hard.
It's an hour walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I think I put that in.
yeah, for parks, that's something we can, control, something I can take to the customer for things like Mission Valley West, it's a lot of that is owned by SDSU now, overseen by MTS, which we're not on. We don't oversee SDSU unfortunately, so, I don't have any, I guess I pass along them to, pass along to them. And something I can purpose any getting response, if you see they're not being responsive, I can jump in and get that response for you, but not.
Another thing to add to the park there that's by the stadium, there's a homeless encampment that's kind of started right on the overpass there.
Okay, yeah, that's something I can definitely.
Yeah, you can check that out.
Well, I don't know if you know much about this, these developments in the last week or so. How Riverwalk has been put on hold. JC Penney's maybe turned into luxury condos.
Right.
It's exactly the kind of thing that made San Diego a homeless city.
Yeah.
And that was such a perfect example. Do you know anything about that?
As far as the Riverwalk hold goes, I believe that was a planned hold that they had for while Clark goes out, Hines will take over the remaining of the project, but that's something I definitely check in with P Share is the main guy who oversees the project, so I can ask him about if this was if there's something else going on. I know I saw the Union Tribune article on it, so I can definitely reach out to him on it.
Riverwalk was coded the same because of finance, the high cost.
Right. But as far as the JC Penney's goes, that's completely a newer development that we haven't been briefed on. It's also not in our district, so we technically wouldn't be briefed on it, but we usually try and get more information from. It's just right across the way from our district, so I can coordinate with district on who oversees the area and also try and get briefing on the developers. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, when it comes to luxury housing, it's something that is definitely causing people to be priced out of their neighborhoods, moving out of state. Kind of this, and I didn't catch it.
It's already a lot of luxury condos.
Yeah.
Built right in the same area.
Yeah. Understood, yeah.
I want to circle back to the park. It's a great move, it's a beautiful facility, we go down there all the time, about 3-4 times a week, talking about the park and I was doing some research on it and the usable space is about 20 total acres. With all the grass areas, the one on the west side and then the one that's closest to the 15. There's 60 spaces available in park. So at 60 spaces, that's 120 people, you get 2 people in a car. And that's just the amount of people that are there when we go is nothing compared to they have like the practices going on for soccer and that kind of thing. Looking at, and I read it off of SDSU's website.
Mesa branch library will be closing in 30 minutes. We're no longer able to accept cash payments this evening. If you need a library card or are looking for an item, please come to the front desk.
Anyway, go back. That project was a fun, it's fun part by the taxpayers too. So my question again, kind of going back to the trolley stop, is if there are no events going on at the stadium, which they put their schedule out, and I'd say 90% of the time during the week, there's nothing going on, but every parking lot is blocked off. And for those of us that want to use it, and can't find the 2-hour parking, permit parking, what options are there? It's a lot of area for a lot of people, but you just can't park.
Which you were here at the last meeting.
And is this the park at the right next to the stadium? Yeah. This is something I can work on with District 9 because that is District 9 area. We used to oversee that area, but yeah, I mean, this is not really something that's been on my radar before, so this is definitely something I can look into. And I can coordinate with you on getting a good response.
I'm working with San Diego State on the liaison with their project in Valley and the council group. And at the meeting, our last meeting with the San Diego State people were here. We were very confused about the parking situation at the stadium. And then they said, send me that map. I said, oh yeah, there's gonna be parking out there. We're still trying to figure out that map. But I'm trying to get MTS to come to our next meeting. Because at our last meeting, half the questions that we asked the state people and the police officer at the beginning, they were all, oh, that's MTS, so.
And then they'll say it's SDSU, so we have to have them both here together.
Yeah.
So they can't deflect.
Yeah, the whole area is a mix of SDSU, MTS, and then some city plans mixed in. I think the bulk of it is typically MTS, SDSU.
I'm trying to get them to come, at least have somebody make some lighting all this for us. The other thing, for those of you that were not here for presentation by the state people, when she said it, I was so shocked that I didn't make an issue of it because they were kind enough not to talk, you know, I didn't want to start arguing. But are you aware that on the San Diego new campus or San Diego State, Mission Valley campus, there are no classes and there are no students? Is anybody aware of that? I was shocked. I mean, they got all this land from San Diego for the quote Mission Valley campus.
I thought they were gonna classrooms.
There's no classrooms, there's no student, all the houses are going in, they're all private residents, there's no student housing. There's no student classrooms, all of the buildings that are going up on that land are going to be innovative businesses. Where after the students graduate or during their program, they can work there and learn the trades. So it's a good cause,
Yeah.
but I was thinking all this traffic is going down our hill to get to class at 8 o'clock. So in that way, that was kind of good news.
Yeah.
There won't be an 8 o'clock rush hour. Anyway, for those that weren't here for the presentation, they kind of glossed over that. No class.
It's a little.
Yeah, I understand it was research facilities and.
Yeah.
And I'll get you to do that.
Research.
And a grocery store.
And a hotel.
You know,
And shops.
bring people in to do things that's in the stay, so.
There you go.
It's refilled your hotel and
Any other questions for me though? All right, thank you, that's the information now, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kyle, appreciate that. Okay, and now we have a representative from Supervisor Joel Anderson's office. Takwa? Okay, got it.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Takwa. I'm a legislative intern at Supervisor Joel Anderson's office. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you on behalf of Supervisor Anderson and share with you some updates on what we are doing to represent you at the county. So before I go ahead through the legislative update, I would like to talk with you a little bit about the packet that I passed out already. So on the first, here you can find the 2023 legislative action and accomplishment. And on the back of the packet, you're gonna find 2 flyers. So the first one is the internship program. So if you know anybody who is a high school student or college student, and they would like to gain a professional experience, let them please apply for www.supervisor.com/intern. And on the next slide here, we have the grant program. What I'd like to mention about that is that the application will be open on July 1st. Okay, and before I forget, there is a half sheet that's attached to the packet. So please feel free to mark any issues you'd like the supervisor to take care of. And please make sure to fill the front and back of the sheet and drop it off of the packet, and put it on your feed, so I can collect it at the end of the event. And now let's go ahead for the legislative update. So the first thing is gonna be about paving county road. One of Supervisor Anderson's top priorities on the board of supervisors is to keep our county maintained road paved in and in good condition. In the 2023 and 2024 fiscal year, Supervisor Anderson secured a 25.4 million budget increase in the Department of Public Works roads fund. This will allow the Department of Public Works, which is responsible for maintaining and paving our roads, to hire an additional 7 full-time employees specifically for road paving. With this increase in support from Supervisor Anderson and the Board of Supervisors, DPW to resurface more than 450 miles of roads in our district by late 2025. This is more than 50% of all county roads in District 2. The second is going to be about expanding opportunity for local businesses to participate in a county contract. Small businesses are the backbone of our local economy. However, it can sometimes be challenged for them to navigate a government contract opportunity. Supervisor Anderson and Chairwoman Verga co-authored a board letter to direct county staff to investigate opportunities to expand the county reach to county policies to enhance the ability of local small and veteran-owned businesses to participate in the county procurement. The county spent on just under $2 billion annually on its contract. It is a Supervisor Anderson's hope that more small businesses can take advantage of these opportunities. The next one is going to be about parenting with the city of San Diego and opioid settlement fund to prevent opioid overdoses. Supervisor Anderson authored a board letter that authorized county staff to enter into a revenue agreement with the city of San Diego to accept $1 million for opioid overdose prevention effort and education. This funding sources come from the opioid settlement fund that the city received. This funding will be used to support multimedia public messaging and awareness efforts specific for opioid overdose prevention and naloxone awareness. The last one is going to be about new population categories for MENA. Supervisor Anderson also authored a board letter directing county staff to offer Middle Eastern and North African categories when obtaining ethnicity data during the administration of county programs and services. This board letter would also direct county staff to express the county's support for Assembly Bill 2763, the Middle Eastern and North African Inclusion Act. This state legislation would require state agencies, board, or commission to collect demographic data for Middle Eastern and North African population. District 2 is home to one of the largest Middle Eastern population in the United States, and Supervisor Anderson is working to ensure they are represented here in San Diego County. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Do you have your contact information or?
Yeah, so I have here, I have only the card.
You just see the card and write it down.
I have it. I'll give it to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be a representative from Joel's office from now? I can put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so next month or next in September, I'll have it on the agenda.
Okay, thank you so much.
So will you be with Joel the remainder of the year or?
But not for remaining for this event, I'm sorry.
Until when?
For this event.
Only for this event?
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you please say thank you to Supervisor Anderson for those letters he sends out to the community? He talks about different things that people may not know about. He sent one recently about Mission Trails Park.
Yeah, sure.
That was very helpful for those of you that maybe didn't see it. Mission Trails offers free, narrated walks for different, age and physical visibility levels. And you can call and schedule one for different days that they have, and that was really helpful.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm assuming if we fill this out, we'll probably get signed up to all those mailing lists and probably the thing you're talking about too. Right?
Yeah. So, and also if you have a concern or anything, I can give you a form that you can fill it out here and I can pass it out to our representative, so they can help you with. If you need one of these, you can just. Thank you so much.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, if anybody will have a question, I can pass G to them and they can fill it out.
I think we have a few people on the phone, right?
We
Coral
have
was on
Coral.
from the mayor's.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who else, but Coral's here.
Coral, you want to give?
Sure. I don't really have much to report out on. Miles kind of covered it all. I did want to note that the transportation and ECP, they were originally doing a scrub and cape and scrub. But like Miles said, we have received some feedback, so we're adding that seal on top of it. We are going back through the residential areas that received the first round of the cape and scrub and seal, whatever it was called. In order to help with that gravel that Miles was talking about. That should take us about until the beginning of summer. Again, if you're not seeing that change, please reach out to either me or Miles. I'm sure you guys are well aware that we are getting a new police chief. He will be sworn in next month, and his first day on the job will be June 10th. I will also note that we're still in the process in interviewing for fire chief. Our current fire chief will be leaving this summer. So we are looking to fill his position before the summer ends. And I don't have anything else to report on. Again, Miles kind of covered it all. I'm here for any questions though.
The San Diego budget meetings, are they still going on? I think there's like Zoom meetings that the public can attend, correct?
Yes, there is a budget review meeting, I want to say next week, if next week is June 4th.
That's a good one to watch if anybody's gonna be.
And I will also say that all meetings are archived on the website. Typically what I do, I'm also pretty boring, is I will play a meeting that I have missed as background music while I'm either cooking or cleaning, just to hear what has gone on. So they all are archived.
Cool. Anybody have any questions for the mayor's office? And all of our meetings are gonna be archived on YouTube, so if you want to pass them to the neighbors, please feel free to do so. Thanks, Coral, for coming. Anybody else have any questions about anything?
The YouTube channel, is it?
Yes.
URL from the page of the document?
I think it should be. If it's not, if you go to, if you go to the website, it's definitely on the website. And then we have an X account also. We're trying a bunch of new things, so we're trying to get some engagement from the socials.
Just really creative.
Okay, so at this point, there's nobody else here that was presenting anything, so if anybody from the community wants to come up, say anything, so we could take notes and report back to whoever. Anybody has anything else to say? Otherwise, I think that's it. Yep, thanks for everybody for coming. And the next meeting is February.
Oh, iPhone.
Oh,
iPhone.
iPhone.
He asked you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Becky Rapp. I have a public comment. Is this the appropriate time?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. My comment has to do actually with the budget. The city has been working over the past several years to implement a program called the Cannabis Social Equity Program, or commonly known as the SEED program. And what they had planned to do was double the number of pot shops in the city, and also have proposed to remove all sensitive use barriers, allowing them to locate near church, parks, rec centers, libraries, and residential areas. This is something that parents in the community do not want to see move forward, as it could be detrimental to the public health and safety, specifically for the kids that live in our neighborhoods. Back to the budget, the mayor has proposed to actually cut the SEED program. This would mean not moving forward with the social equity program, and also sending the grant money that the state had issued back to the state. In essence, closing the door to this. And this is something that we as parents are very grateful for, and just ask for support. Speaking to the council member's office and staff, just echoing, voicing support of the mayor's decision to cut this program. And I think it's going to be, I think the deadline is June 11th, and that's when the city will have their final discussions on it. So thank you.
That's your comment. Anyone else? Okay, so that wraps it up for this meeting. The next one is September 24th, 6:30, same time, same place. Tell your neighbors.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.